Today we're going back in time and my assistant is taking over the cooking. This is her easy pleasing meatloaf. It was a staple in the Dora family in the 60s, and she'll take over and show you how to do it. It's very, very easy.
The ingredients include a pound of ground beef. I like to use beef and pork mixed. It makes for a less dry meatloaf. So make sure in your grocery store you buy a combination of ground beef and pork. And you need stove-top stuffing, chicken flavor, water, ketchup, and eggs. And then I like to put it in my handy meatloaf pan, which has a pull out, so you pull out the meatloaf and leave the grease in. First you dump the ground meat into the bowl and mix it up really good so you have the beef and the pork all together. Yep, there goes my... Now see this meat? It's all mixed up nicely all together. Then you take your eggs, and beat them up. It's important that you beat these babies up. Just throw it in. Next you add your stove-top stuffing, followed by the ketchup, got to get it all out, and then the water. Once you have everything in the pan, you mix it all up by hand. After you have everything mixed together, you try to form it so it looks like a meatloaf. And hopefully it doesn't fall apart on you. And you just round it up and set it in your pan. You can use any kind of baking dish, but I've always had a meatloaf pan, so I've always used it. You need to preheat your oven to 375 degrees and cook it for 45 minutes. Oven's ready, 375. I'm going to put this in on your middle shelf and cook it for about an hour. With our meatloaf tonight, we decided to have parsley potatoes. So I tend to buy the red ones for boiling. Don't know why, I guess my mom did, so I do. So you take a potato and cut it into bite-sized pieces. I leave the skin on because that's supposed to be better for you. And just put them in your pan. Now that the potatoes are all cut in the pan and placed in the pan, we're going to cover them with cold water. And you only need to put enough water in to cover them. As such. Next, I put a little salt in. Not too much because I figure you can salt it yourself later. I put a little lid on, keep it cracked open. And I boil them about 20 minutes until you can put a fork in them and it goes in without any struggles. While your meatloaf is in the oven cooking, treat yourself to your favorite drink. I chose Sauvignon Blanc and some pretzel rods. Okay, the potatoes have been cooking for about 15-20 minutes. We're going to check to see if they're done. So what I try to do is get the biggest piece I can find, put it on my lid, take this fork and see if it goes through it. Ah, they're done. So what I do then is turn the electric off, carry this to the sink, and pour out the water. since we're making parsley potatoes, we're going to use some butter or margarine, whichever you prefer. My boss here prefers butter, so I'm taking not quite a teaspoon, and I'll put it in the pan with the potatoes and melt it and stir it around. Okay, the butter has melted and it's been all stirred around. I'm going to add a little pepper. The salt can be added at the table per your own wishes. And then I add the parsley flakes. Stir it up and you have yourself some good homemade parsley potatoes. Looks like the meatloaf should be done. We're going to get her out. Well, it looks very good. Set it right here. With this handy pan here, I'll get the meatloaf over to a great cutting board so the chef can do his work cutting the meatloaf.
Okay, well there you have it. A terrific meal with plenty of leftovers. And if you wanted a lot of leftovers to make sandwiches later in the week or whatever, you could always make 2 of these. Here's the recipe. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Easy Meals for Busy Working Couples.